Welcome to the Ambitious Coach Lab, powered by 90. I'm your host, Dr. Cam Lawson. Each week, we explore the real tactics, tough conversations, and breakthrough moments that drive coaching success. Let's jump into today's episode. Well, hello, friends. We've got Justin Maust with us today. Justin is an expert EOS implementer with a decade of experience helping leadership teams gain clarity, alignment, and traction. Not only has he built an elite coaching practice, but he's also known for his energy, passion, and ability to turn vision into execution. How's that for an intro?
I love it. That works.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show, man. I'm excited to talk with you today.
Cam, thank you, man. I appreciate honestly, I appreciate you and all that 90 does. My assistant and I, we run on 90, so it's been a very helpful tool.
Oh, man, I appreciate you saying that. Just jumping in. I love it. Well, how about, you tell us a little bit about your EOS story, if you will, how you got into EOS and becoming an expert implementer.
My brother and I co-founded with a couple great people a ministry called 5 Star Life. And I did that for a handful of years, 7 years. And I got to the point where I knew I'd done some leadership training and I knew there was more. And I just had to scratch that entrepreneurial itch. So I went and got certified with the John Maxwell team. So I'm one of his speaker trainers and coaches. Did that for 5 years while I built in my region, Northern Indiana. I built the largest leadership event. And I would bring in like John Maxwell and Chris McChesney from the 4 Disciplines of Execution and a whole bunch of other leaders and entrepreneurs. And we had about 1,500 people attend my event. And so I was speaking, training, coaching one-offs, more of like a keynote speaker, conference speaker, and then doing some workshop-y type stuff. And I love it. But John Maxwell says events challenge people and process changes people. And so I had this one client I was working with, and he came to me probably 3 years into our relationship. He goes, Justin, he goes, thank you so much for helping us with like leadership and culture. Like you turned the dial up for us. Like we finally get it. And then he paused and he said, but EOS actually helped us do it. And I looked at Levi and I was like, dude, that's the nicest backhanded compliment I've ever received. What the heck is this EOS stuff? So that was in 2015. And so I read Traction, I got on the webinar, and I was enamored with how aligned what my content was. And Gino Wickman built a better mousetrap. I mean, that's just the reality for me. And I have no ego in terms of, I don't care whose system it is. I want a process to change the trajectory of my clients' businesses and their lives. And I hook, line, and sinker bought in 2017, and I haven't looked back.
Man, that's such a good line from John, where you go to events, because I've been there. You are just amped after an event. It's like a
100%.
conference
Yeah.
or something. And then you got to go back, and then the reality hits when you fly back and you're back at your desk. It's
And,
like,
and before EOS, I'd probably done, I don't know, 500 workshops,
wow.
leadership talks, and I was doing events. People need to get their cages rattled. They need an event to challenge them. It's not a discount, but it's different. So there's a moment in time where people they need to get hit between the eyeballs to get their cage rattled to say, man, that's an inflection point. And from that moment on, people's lives can change when they have that event. But the odds of it sticking go down if you don't have a process to change you, a process to change your company. And so that resonated to my core. I did not want to be just the 12-hour leadership event guy. I wanted to give my team something that would change the trajectory of their lives.
Yeah, you offer that freedom, I think, is the way that you would kind of frame it. But really, I think it's hope. I think the more that I have talked to lots of business coaches, consultants, advisors, there really is something about you are selling hope that
Yeah.
things can be better.
Yeah.
And whether that's through an event, great. You can get that aspirational side of things, but the work that you do as an implementer,
Yeah, for
you're
sure.
able to go in and really tangibly create that process, that roadmap, ultimately what you would call traction in that organization, which then
Yeah.
gives them so much hope and freedom. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about, okay, you pulled the trigger. You already had a little bit of probably a network base through the event stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, what did it look like as you started to scale your practice with the EOS side of things?
Honestly, I felt really lucky and blessed because I had a huge network of people that knew me, they loved me, they trusted me. And so when I had this new arrow in my quiver, I simply said, "Hey, you should look at this." And it was my business just exploded. I don't think that's the normal, but I think I onboarded, I don't know, 20 clients in the first 9 months.
Wow.
So it went fast and it was super fun. And like the evidence is still hitting today. I can go to these companies and I can show, and I'm like, man, the transformative impact, like my passion statement, I want to ignite and fuel people with tools and disciplines to succeed. And my personal brand, like success loves discipline. You tell me, point me where you want success, and I promise you, there's a couple disciplines that will help you get there. And that's what EOS has been for me. Like I use every one of the tools. I have a couple other companies. We use every single tool, and I it's like my own little petri dish for like experimenting. Like, what's this really like inside of a client company? And so it's super fun. But yeah, I think I've worked with over 100 clients, but it was really just it wasn't selling. It was just introducing a new opportunity, a new tool to my network.
Yeah. Did you find I would say that probably a lot of business coaches really struggle whether they want to niche down into a specific focus or keep it really broad and, "Hey, I got bills to pay. I pulled the trigger on doing this. I need to get a client."
Yeah.
What did you find as you navigated that with kinda niching down or keeping things broad?
Well, I am not a niche down guy. Like I love variety. I'm a if you know the Colby assessment, so I'm like a 3 fact finder, a 2 follow through, and a 9 quick start. So I get bored really easy. So I have zero interest in niching down. Like I don't want to work with one industry and one type of group. I just love the variety. I love learning. Like I give my heart to my teams, but I'm soaking up so much. So for me, the variety of industry, the variety of teams, the variety of size of company, all of that stuff, like I love it. It's super fun. So I'm a non-niche guy. Early on in my practice, I wasn't this way, but today I'm more of a relationship guy. Like if I get freaking jacked about who you are as a person and why you exist as a company, if I get excited, like freaking jacked about that, I will say, sign me up. And then I have a I have a hatchet committee. My wife and my executive assistant because I've said yes to way too many clients that are too many miles away. So, early on, I was just hungry to serve. And so I said yes to everybody. Like, and the biggest mistake is I found myself traveling 2/3 of my client base. At the time, I had like 33 clients. So I had 20 travel clients. I was in hotels 115 nights a year. And it was, I paid way too big of a price.
Mm.
The EOS community, so many of my friends just made fun of me for years saying, dude, you're stupid. So I finally got a little smarter and I have a hatchet committee and they're helping me stay home to closer to home base.
There you go. Maybe there's a little value in the niche, like, call it the geography, if you will.
Yeah, dude, if that's any advice I could give anybody, any coach, like be careful what you say yes to because it will create your travel schedule for you.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because there is a moment where, okay, you do I think I alluded to earlier, you pulled the trigger, you wanted to get into business coaching and you're just trying to find your first client, right? It's probably so tempting. Somebody comes in that's maybe, you're on the East Coast, they're on the West Coast, and they just found you through LinkedIn or however they got in touch with you.
Mhm.
Like, can you talk a little bit about your qualifying? You talked about the freaking jack thing. That's like a little, coin term that you have, which I love. But can you talk about when you're prospecting out, what you go through to get to that point where you're freaking jacked to work with somebody?
So I didn't do that on the front end. So number one, I did not do that on the front end. Number one, my process was I was hungry to serve. I was hungry to make an impact. And so whoever I talked to, I was sharing that message. and I would obviously do our 90-minute meeting and share the opportunity for them. If they said yes, I said yes. I wasn't filtering them. I was hungry to build a business. I'm a learn by doing guy. So as much as I read all the books, and like there was one quarter where I think I watched all 125 videos 3 times and read 2 books in one 90-day period just to get mastery in me. But nothing is better than going and doing it with a client. Nothing is better than going and teaching it or doing it inside your own company. So that's really my filter was if you said yes, I said yes.
Hmm.
And I didn't care where you were. Now, maybe I had a core values filter, but man, there was a couple clients I took on. They were not my core values. It sucked the life out of me doing it, but I learned more by doing it than saying no to it. I can give you like visceral experiences of what to say yes to and no to. But when I was younger and when I had more days than dollars, I basically was like, I got to feed my family. I want to create this opportunity. So I said yes to pretty much anybody that would say yes. Like I didn't sell it. I was passionate to say, I don't push a rope uphill, but this is what EOS is. And if that interests you, I would love to serve you.
On the flip side, so let's take it to, like, current Justin. Now, how do you navigate that? You say you have, like, examples of, what not to go after, what to go after. What are maybe some of the red and green flags that you see if you can boil it down to, like, 1 or 2?
Uh, for me, it's mission, values, and proximity. So my wife and I have talked, and my wife has been great for a filter for me because that's why my wife and my executive assistant, they are my hatchet committee. And so every single new client opportunity that comes up, I explain who the client is and I say, hey, this is how many clients we have. You guys tell me if I can say yes or no. And they're like, well, my wife said, Justin, I've watched you over the years, and some of these clients, they're all good people, but some of these clients suck more life out of you than others. And she's like, so I would rather, if you want to travel and if we have the space for it, I would rather you be able to say yes to a client you freaking love than say yes to a local one that kind of sucks the life out of you. And
Yeah.
so my filter is, do I get jacked about their mission? Do I align with who they are as people, their culture, their core values, even if they don't have them defined? I'm assessing that, and then proximity.
Hmm.
So where are they? And so that's kind of my filter these days because I have so many referrals coming in. I turn a lot of my clients away and I refer out to others now. But the filter is what I just said.
Yeah.
Do I
That's
love their vision? Do I fit their DNA? Do they fit me? And then what's proximity? And then my hatchet committee helps me make that decision.
Man, that's so good. Because I think there are so many times where, I mean, you talked about it from a you get into something and it just, like, drains you. I like,
Yeah,
empathize with that so deeply
yeah, for sure. For
because
sure.
you get
That's a
into
real thing.
it
If you're
is.
gonna spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a year with this leadership team, and you wanna bring them your A game, and you dread thinking about them
Mhm.
prior to the session, that's not serving them well, it's not
Right.
serving me well, like, it's a lose-lose situation, so I try to pay attention to that, and honestly, I rarely have that happen,
Hmm.
in terms of culturally, like, toxic, but I'm already filtering them on that first phone call, so it's not like I'm backing out of a deal, they just had no idea I was interested or not interested.
That's good, man. I appreciate you sharing all that because I think there's a lot of coaches that can take that to heart and hopefully learn some of the lessons you do and find that, okay, if I'm getting any kinda it's almost like trust your gut. If you're feeling some things, and I'm sure you've gotten to the point where you can almost see that pretty quickly in a conversation. You're picking up on things probably,
Yeah.
correct?
But listen, it's super rare because I love people.
Mhm.
So it's not like I'm actively like, "Oh,
Yeah.
are they gonna suck the life out of me?" That's not at all. It's just you just engage and you serve and you kinda get an idea when you're on the phone call with them, like, "Huh, I think they'd be better served by somebody else." And so I pivot the conversation that way. And sometimes I'm like, "Dude, I freaking love who you guys are. I would love to serve you. Where you at?" they list some Western state. I'm like, ugh, okay, I have this hatchet committee. Like, we got to
Mm.
get through my wife and my assistant, and let's talk about this. And so I don't want to travel. I don't want to be gone as much. So that's a big deal. I've gotten my butt kicked and handed to me a couple times over the past several years. So I'm learning, slow learner.
Hey, there you go. You're learning though. That's the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
Let's kind of talk. I mean, we've already kind of transitioned into it, but let's talk a little bit about business development because as I talk to business coaches, I've put many polls up on LinkedIn of two business coaches, and what is the number one thing that you are struggling with or focused on going in this next year, it's always business development. Everybody wants a new client, right?
Mm.
And so you're at a point now where you have built a reputation. You both have a personal brand and a reputation as an elite EOS implementer, an expert EOS implementer. But can you talk a little bit how you positioned yourself in a way that helps you find those right fit clients, almost you seeking out, you said you're already having referrals kind of come to you, which is just a great place to be, but can you talk about how you got to that point?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, serve your heart out with your existing client base. Like, go to the mat for them. Like, do whatever it takes to serve them, give them your very best, be as intense and passionate and help first as possible. And when you do that well, their business changes. They get different results. Their life changes. And then when they think of a friend of theirs that they notice some of the same pain points, they will tell you, they will tell their friend about you because it was authentic, it was genuine. Like, we turned their company around, we changed the trajectory of their life. So they're grateful. You don't even have to ask for a referral when you deliver the goods to that level. And that's the most exciting referral I get, is when I know this referral came from a client
Mm.
whose life and business is better. And so I'm just super grateful. And so there's been a few times where I felt like my book of business wasn't full. And I would then say to some clients that I loved, that I was like really excited about, I'm like, hey, if you know anybody that kind of has your DNA, like, I'd love to serve somebody else. But I honestly didn't have to ask for many referrals because they just kept coming in. So I grew up in sales. At 23 years old, I was a financial advisor with Edward Jones, and I did the 25 door knocks a day for 2 freaking years of my life. And so that's normal and natural and fun. And so it's not even sales to me. I just want to help people. So I think that, you know, number one, serving your heart out with whatever client, God's given you. Whoever comes in the door, man, take such good care of them that it is a almost a no-brainer to, like, give this guy some referrals.
It reminds me of, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a number of years since I have read Get a Grip. But it reminds me of that because I believe that book starts with it's some peer group or lunch meeting or somebody like hands a copy of Traction with the implementers or who you need to calls,
Yeah,
phone number or contact info.
yeah.
And then they reach out and then their lives are changed. And then I believe it ends with that same thing where they do it to somebody that they know. And I
Mhm.
think there's a common theme that I see everyone, specifically in EOS, just because Traction and Get a Grip and all these books are
Yeah.
just so well known. But that's how a lot of people are come in touch with that. So is that a primary way that you kind of get people in the door? They're recommended Traction by a peer or somebody? Is that how that works?
When I first started, no, because no one knew me as an EOS implementer.
Fair.
So I went and I reached out to my entire network, every single business owner I could think of. I would tell them what I do. And again, I can't uniquely, I was a leadership coach prior to
Mm.
being an implementer. So I already had the credibility and the influence, or whatever you would want to say. I already had that experience. Authentic people recognize me as that. So when I just showed them this new tool that I had, it wasn't like I was trying to rebrand. It was just like, hey, I've got another amazing leadership tool called EOS. So I think that's not normal. I don't think a lot of implementers come in from that. or coaches come in from that. They come from a great corporate background or a great entrepreneurial background, and they've never actually had to sell themselves. And so I had already been doing that with the nonprofit that I helped start and with my Edward Jones practice. So I think in some ways, you just build a level of acumen of being able to sell yourself without selling yourself. You're just being you. Does that make sense? Like I was trained by
Yeah.
Jones how to do 25 door knocks a day,
Right.
being authentic and trustworthy, and so all of that is part of my story. But for anybody that doesn't have like a such a sales background story, I'm telling you, if you're authentic and if you love people and if you do a good job of just presenting what your program is, people they can catch authenticity, they can
Yes.
catch your passion, they can catch your intensity, and they will decide on the spot if they want you to be their coach. And so that happens. That decision is made pretty quick. It's not like a long process. Just like you get a vibe for someone, you're like, yeah, I don't think that they fit me very well.
Mm.
Same thing with entrepreneurs. So put your heart out there. You're gonna fail a ton. Just keep taking steps and you'll grow an amazing practice if you put your task to hand and get good at whatever it is that you're offering.
It reminds me of a quote. I was talking to the local implementer. I'm based down in Greenville, South Carolina, and Andrew Geisel is a certified implementer down here.
Okay.
Awesome dude.
Yeah.
So just out of proximity, he and I have sparked a cool friendship. But he told me a quote one time. He said, "If you're smart, a couple doors will open for you, right? If you're
Mhm.
brilliant, you can probably get a couple more opened. But if you're vibrant,
Mm.
doors will open for you." I was like,
Mhm.
I've
Mhm.
never heard that before. That's so good because it's so true. It's exactly what you're just talking about because there's something to be said. We can instinctively, as humans, I think, see when people are just being salesy or, they've got a secret
Yeah.
agenda behind them. But
Yeah.
if you come from that place of authentically caring about business growth and the things that you're going after, people just latch onto that. Because number one, I think they're kind of like, there's no way this guy's this passionate. But then it becomes like you get in, they're like, "Oh my goodness, he really is."
I hate fake. Everybody can smell fake a mile away. So the minute I sense that there's not authenticity, I'm not interested. Number one, I'm a highly relational guy. So I only want to help you if I can add value to you.
Mm,
And so I'm honing victory loves preparation.
mm,
So for coaches, like if we are not well versed in our craft, if we have not studied deeply at the thing that we are supposed to be teaching, if we have not lived it, breathed it, ate it, taught it, like the odds of us conveying this ability to help someone else with these tools goes way down. And so yes, authenticity, passion, conviction, uh, so I wear my emotions on my shirt sleeve. I'm pretty intense. So sometimes I'm a little too hot for people, and that's awesome. That's okay. I don't want to be in a room with people that they move at the pace of a turtle. That's never going to be a team I want to serve. And so I kind of put myself out there, and you attract what you are, not what you want.
yes.
And so for me, I'm just making sure to demonstrate kind of who I am and what I'm passionate about and how I think I can help and how I think EOS can help. And if that resonates, let's roll.
Yeah, and there's probably a level of, I mean, you also practice what you preach within your own practice,
Mhm.
but there's also a level of that experiential knowledge that I feel like is so beneficial because if you've walked a mile in an entrepreneur's shoes,
Mhm.
that obviously gives you some credibility, but I think it leads into the authenticity.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, you can speak to that. I mean, all day long. Like
Right.
I have too many painful stories. So, yes, I can speak the entrepreneurial language of what does John Maxwell say? Everything great is uphill.
Yes.
So it's an uphill journey. And if people are interested in going uphill, I am happy to show them this simple set of tools and process to change the trajectory or make the uphill climb a little bit more fun.
So on the obviously there are the referral aspect where you have some of that, but can you talk to some of the other business development strategies because you come from an events background? Is that something
Mhm.
that you do a lot? Like, can you talk to your call them levers, business development levers that you
Mhm.
pull? Can you talk to a little bit about that of what you utilize?
So there's tons of levers. You just got to find the lever that works for you. Like when I was at Edward Jones, it literally was door knocking and cold calling. Legitimately, that's what we did. And so I had an appetite for that. I didn't mind the 95% rejection rate. That's basically 90% of all implementers, maybe 95% of EOS. Nobody door knocks. I when I started my practice, I didn't have to door knock, but I will tell you there are some coaches who they don't have a huge network. So how do you get someone that would know you, like you, and trust you to tell them a story? Well, you got to go meet them for the first time. So getting good at meeting people in first time relationships, like a door knock or a phone call or a networking event, or you go to like a Vistage or some type of key referral center relationship, EO, Vistage, local Rotary clubs or chambers, wherever business owners are, you should position yourself there. And so, but you got to get comfortable. And because so many people maybe aren't comfortable pitching themselves,
Mm,
which it's to me, it's not pitching. I'm just telling you who I am.
mhm,
But if you've never sold before, you feel in your mind, it's built up way bigger than what it really is. You're just meeting people. Just go meet some people. And so you got to meet enough people to get comfortable telling your story. And then you got to ask enough questions to get an idea of where their pain points are. But when you do that 1,000 times, you're going to be better than before you did it 1,000 times. So you got to get in the reps. So whether it's door knocking, whether it's cold calling, which by the way, those are the hardest ways to build a business, but they're also free.
mm,
It just takes time to do some of the other things, sponsoring events and going to networking events. Sometimes those aren't free, but there's tons of people. So I would say find your way, whatever your way is. You want to be a speaker? Some people speak right away. They just start speaking for free. I didn't even choose the speaking route to do my business. I, I felt like it was a waste of time. I just went directly to the entrepreneurs, told them my story and told them how I could help them, and they made decisions. So, the biggest thing, Cam, is there's 1,000 ways you can do biz dev. And if you try to do all 1,000, you probably will fail.
mm,
You got to find the few ways that are most comfortable to you, most authentic to you, and then you just got to lock in and do that 100 times, and then 100 more times, and then 100 more times. And people don't understand the rejection rate on the front end,
mm.
and so they're just not used to that. And that's normal in the sales process. That is very normal. And so I think that was normalized for me, knowing, hey, not everybody's going to want this or need this. But if I just do enough door knocks, if I just do enough conversations, I'll find the right client.
Right. Well, it taps into a core part of I mean, I've been through an EOS implementation, so we've talked through all the leading indicators, but there is a level of like, okay, I need to again, just throw numbers out, but I need to talk to 25 people to get
Yeah.
2 conversations to get 1 client, like, you start to build it out that way, and I think that just takes goes into practicing,
Yeah.
repetition, understanding, "Okay, I talked to 10 people, that didn't lead to anything. Talked to 20 people, okay, I got 1." Like, okay, now I can start have some data that I can base this off of. So it goes back to practicing what you preach. If you're gonna ask your clients to do that, you should do it as well.
It is not rocket science. Sales is not rocket science. And listen, it's not like you have to sell 1,000 widgets. You just need a handful of clients. It is not that difficult, but we make it so much more difficult in our head. What's between our ears stops us from experiencing the fullness of a great practice,
Mm,
oftentimes way longer than it needs to, because we just didn't change the way we think and the way that we do. And so getting excited, like I teach biz dev for I have for the past 2 years for EOS. And I tell them, I'm like, you actually have two seats. You have this seat called coach, and the
mm,
coach is your sweet spot. You love doing that work. You also sit in this sales and marketing seat. And there's 5 roles in that sales and marketing seat. And EOS, we have the term GWC, gets it, wants it, capacity. Everybody wants the coach seat. But some of those people, they don't want the sales and marketing seat. And I'm like, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., you better freaking get jacked about the sales and marketing activities so your coach can have a business. And again, that's the same person. So you kind of split your mind up a little bit and say, well, someday I get to be a coach if I'm
Mm,
freaking awesome at the sales and marketing activities. And that's why I say you can do this 1,000 different ways. There's not one way to do great sales and marketing activity. Find what you love to do. Find the way you want to do it and just put that on repeat.
yeah. It's so easy to get into the comparison game too. Oh, well, so and so's killing it in the LinkedIn game, or so and so's killing it in the event game. I should probably do those things. But if you're not an events person, why in the world would you do that?
Correct. 100%. 100%. Yeah, I love my biz dev strategy. I loved it when I first started. I love it now. It's changed and morphed a little bit, but it works perfectly for me, and it's great.
Hmm. Oh man, this has been awesome. What advice would you give to a coach that maybe is feeling stuck? Maybe they've pulled a trigger and became an EOS implementer or pulled the trigger in some other system, and they maybe have landed a client or 2, but they've almost hit the ceiling where they just can't break through. What advice would you give that individual right now?
So I really what I just said, this understanding that there's 2 seats. There's a coach seat and there's a sales and marketing seat. Usually, if they're struggling the way you're describing, it's because they really haven't spent the
Mhm.
time understanding the mechanics of that sales and marketing seat and defining their strategy, defining the measurables that they are going to do, and falling in love, truly wanting that activity. That is the job. And so take a clarity break, unpack, go find some people that have achieved where you want to be, that you like, you trust, see what they were doing, and then assess what is it that you can do. And then I would say you have to just 5x the results, 5x the data points you need. So if your leading indicator, like when I was with Edward Jones at 23 years old, they told me I had to make 25 door knocks a day with someone that would give me their name, give me their phone number, and give me permission to call them back. I did that for 2 years. I did direct cold call with a suit and tie walking up to the door, and it was hard. I got so much rejection. But what I learned from that is my mindset. And so I can learn anything. Darren Hardy says that you can learn anything and you can unlearn anything. And I think probably the biggest thing for coaches that are struggling on biz dev is usually I find that they need to unlearn the way they think about their approach to biz dev, and they need to think and do at a higher level. They're stuck down here in their mindset. They got some head trash, and they don't know how much that is affecting their ability to even authentically represent what they want to do and how they want to help.
Wow. That's powerful, and I think that's a really good word. Well, hey, on the advice thing, let's do a little bit of reflection on your career, both maybe in the Maxwell and the EOS side of things. But I always like to ask guests if you could go back with all of the knowledge and experiences you've had, which you've had plenty, lots of sessions under your belt now. But let's say you're going back and you're giving advice to rookie Justin.
Mhm.
What advice would you give yourself?
Man, I it's very simple. It's 3 words. Success loves discipline. I was a massive procrastinator. I was stuck. My wife looked at me one day and she said, "You're not the husband I thought you'd be when I married you. You're not the father I thought you'd be when I married you. You're not the man I thought you'd be when I married you." And this was a loving conversation with tears rolling down her eyes. And she was 100% right. And it was because I was tolerating a level of existence and mediocrity in my life that was holding me back. And so I had to change, I had to rewire my brain to think and do at a higher level. and I had to fall in love with discipline. Nothing, nothing gets done. Nothing of greatness gets done without ridiculous commitment to discipline. And if you want to be a great coach, if you want to be great at sales and marketing your coaching practice, you have to love the disciplines. And I just wish, for me, I wish, man, starting in junior high, I wish I would have understood the compound effect of falling in love with the disciplines that will bring you success versus falling in love with the idea of success.
Mm,
And so, probably from 36 years old on, I started to fall in love with the disciplines, and that was the inflection point that changed the game for all of my success. That those 3 words have made probably the biggest difference outside of my faith in God. My passion to just fall in love with the discipline and do the work that most people aren't willing to do, that moves the needle.
Success loves discipline. I know that about you, that that's your thing, but I can also speak to how that has permeated through the people that know you,
Mhm.
because that is something that's so meaningful to you that it bleeds out of you and it touches other people, because it's touched me, and I wouldn't say we know each other very well, but I know that, and that has been like, I've taken that on. So I just like, that's something that I've been thinking a lot about, is the impact that business coaches have, stretching far beyond what they even know. And so thank you for that, that you learned that lesson. And I think it's something that is highly applicable to, regardless of whether you're a business coach. That is a good word for you no
You
matter who
point
you are.
you point in the direction of where do you wanna see improvement? Marriage,
Mm,
parenting, your finances, your health, your nutrition, your faith, your business, your sales and marketing, like, point in any direction. And I promise you, if you really get clear on what are the behaviors, what are the activities that I have to do, and you get good at those and you freaking love those things,
mm,
success is gonna freaking beat you down.
yeah.
Like, it's gonna find you because you are doing the activity. That's why I can't wait for the EOS conference. We're gonna hear from James Clear. I mean, it's gonna be awesome. He's like the godfather of discipline, atomic habits, like
Yes.
tiny little daily activities change the trajectory of your life. Like, it's gonna be fun.
Yes, I am so excited about that session. That was a transformational book in, I know, many people's lives.
Yeah.
So, and then last question here, what is a lesson that you're maybe in the middle of learning in this current moment?
Whew, there's so many. Like I there's he- there's some things I've done. I always tell people, I'm like, you have to work really hard to fail that bad. So I'm gonna say biggest lesson I'm learning right now is the importance of oh, how would I say it? So people, getting good for me, it's getting good at surrounding myself with the right people that have the right skill sets and then me letting go. Like I need to have a team in my world. And so I've got 2 other businesses right now. We've got key seats we're looking for. And then I'm entertaining me having an integrator seat to help me. And man, I can't wait because we're hitting the ceiling. I teach this. I teach hitting the ceiling. It's good to hit the ceiling because if you have vision, your VTO is beyond where you are today,
Mm,
and you have got to hit multiple ceilings to see that VTO come to life, your vision
mm,
traction organizer. So for me, it's not just recognizing that I'm hitting the ceiling, it's the fact that I need to empower someone else to run with some of the stuff that's in my head and my heart. And so finding the right people, getting them into the right seats. I think Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach says it's the who, not how.
mm.
And I've become a master at how am I going to do this? And I'm starting to become the master of who's going to help me get this done.
Man, that's good too. Dropping some bombs right at the end here. I love it. Well, man, this has been such a good conversation. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom, and just the many stories and experiences that you've had that have shaped you into the person that you are.
Mm.
Let's say someone maybe wants to get in touch with you. What's a good place to reach out to you?
You can look at me on LinkedIn. I'm on there a little bit, and then you can just send me an email, justin.maust@eosworldwide.com.
We'll link all that out in the show notes if people want to look into that and get in touch with you. But thank you for coming on. I
Dude, thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being a part of 90. Thank you for giving me a platform so I can get my freaking to-dos done.
there you go. That's a good thing. Yeah, no, we are passionate about helping coaches build good practices. I
Yeah,
have this personal belief that a healthy business coaching ecosystem leads to a healthy business ecosystem. Coaches are,
100%.
I would argue, lifeblood in the business ecosystem. So thank you for what you
Yeah, cool.
do, and
Thanks.
thank you for being just the human that you are, and also a 90 champion. We love and appreciate you. So
All right, awesome. Thanks,
hey,
Cam.
take care, guys. Bye.
Okay.
That's it for today's episode of the Ambitious Coach Lab. My hope is that something here helps you sharpen your craft and keep building a coaching practice you're proud of. Before we wrap, a quick thank you to our sponsor, 90. If you're coaching leadership teams, having your clients run their entire world in 90 truly elevates your work. Vision, rocks, scorecards, issues, it all lives in one centralized place. The clarity keeps your clients aligned between sessions and makes every conversation you have with them more focused and more impactful. I've used 90 with over 500 leadership teams, and I can tell you it makes great companies better and great coaches even more effective. Feel free to use promo code AC20 for 20% off. Again, that's AC20 for 20% off. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm Cam, cheering you on as you grow your ambitious coaching practice. We'll see you next time.